Good evening. Good evening. This is Dr. Rachel from Higher Grace Church, 83 Rosemary Avenue in Pretoria North. Today, we are excited to bring an exciting topic about domestic violence and mental health. Just to make some people aware, domestic violence is carried out by a family member. It can be a partner or a spouse, and it can include children and even the elderly people. The problem here in South Africa is that this type of violence is increasing and it's not a good sign. So today I've got pastors here and a young lady. They're going to introduce themselves before I start asking questions.
I'm Hastings Longway. I'm an ordinary person touched by an extraordinary God. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shalom Nevhutanda. I, yeah, I'm excited to be here. I can't wait to discuss this topic. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mamsi Advocate Makubele. I am a member of Higher Grace. I am here and I'm very interested in this topic because I did a Bachelor of Honors in Psychology. However, I'm not registered, but I can offer advice from where I know. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone at home. This is Reverend Queen Mokhashwa, all the way from Hartepies, Higher Grace Sunway, under the leadership of Bishop Nevhutanda and Mama Dr. Rachel Nevhutanda. Mama, thank you for having me in this panel. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. This is beautiful. I want to start with Apostle Hastings. Why do you think it is crucial for the church to discuss issues of domestic violence and mental health?
I'll answer that question in threefold. First of all, it's for development, and secondly, it's for transformation, and thirdly, it's for glorification. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Pastor Shalom, can you add something on why churches should be involved in issues of domestic violence and mental health?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Hey, everybody at home. I think it's important because we are supposed to be the solution. The church is supposed to be the solution. I remember there was a time when I was presenting something on stage at church. It might have been last year, it might have been this year, but I was saying that there are some men who are abusing their partners, and I asked all the men to stand up and to vow and say, at Higher Grace, we are not going to do that. You see a lot of videos of young people abusing their grandmothers. You see a lot of videos of men abusing their partners. I just want to say that there is a home, there is a place where people can come, there is a place where our mother, my actual biological mother, Dr. Rachel, offers counseling on a daily basis. And that place is Higher Grace Church in Pretoria, 83 Rosemary. If you find yourself in any kind of distress, any type of depression, please call us. Our numbers are on the screen, and thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. Yes, Reverend?
Domestic violence and mental health is a very vital aspect in the community. And church is a community, but it is a community with a difference because it is there to bring healing to the people. It is there to bring solution to the situation to the people. If I can bring a scripture in the Bible about Diana lady who was a daughter of Leah and Jacob in Genesis 34. She was a beautiful young girl, and the brother raped her. And simply because of she was attractive, very strong and vibrant. And the brother, his own sibling, raped her. And that is where we realize that domestic violence starts from home. Domestic violence is because of relationships that are toxic. It can be a mother to daughter relationship, or it can be a father to son relationship, or even a parent to a parent, or a husband to a wife relationship. And domestic violence will always be a vital thing to play in the family. And thank you, Mama, for giving me this opportunity.
Oh, this is very beautiful because most of the time people seriously, when we talk about domestic violence, they think about spousal abuse or intimate partner violence. And most of the time we forget the elderly, we forget the children. But today, we are going to be concentrating on the other groups that we don't usually talk about at church. So we'll come to that, and I'm very grateful to God that in Higher Grace, we speak about these things. Even on pulpit, we speak about these things. So we are encouraging also other pastors, when you've got an opportunity to preach here, speak something about prevention of this violence, because our community is important to us. Yes, Mamsi, I heard you did psychology, and I'm very proud of you that we have got young people at church who can be of importance in helping or adding vital knowledge so that people can know what violence is all about. So, as a young girl who is knowledgeable on issues of psychology, what can you advise us as a church? Whatever you feel that it is lacking or what you see happening in church and you are proud about, you are free to speak, because we need to learn and to be encouraged to do whatever we're doing.
Thank you very much, Mama. Um, with mental health, there is a lot of stigmatization that comes with mental health. I will start by saying that when you are sick in the body, you usually go to the doctor for a checkup. There are people who are diagnosed with high blood pressure, diabetes, and they go to the doctor. But then when it's all about mental health, we tend to stigmatize mental health so much. We tend to not speak about mental health. So it is very important for us to learn more on mental health. It is very important for when you are going through a certain kind of abuse, for you to seek for help. Because if you sit and you don't seek for help, there are a lot of people who commit suicide. A lot of people resort to suicide, and of which we, as a church, we are meant to be preventing suicide. So, in matters of domestic violence, many people can reach out. You start by reaching out. You start by talking to someone. So, first thing, you talk. You must admit that you have a certain problem or a challenge that is challenging you. So you talk to a certain individual so that you can get help, you can get assistance. As much as when you are sick in the body, you go to the doctor or a clinic. So even with mental health, you can seek for professional help. The church is an open door for that.
Thank you so very much. I love the fact that you are talking about stigma. And when mental health is stigmatized, it becomes a problem. I came through some things that are very important here. That we need to be conscious about our mental health, the care of our minds. We need to learn how to manage our emotions and treating ourselves with kindness. So I just want to mention something that I found here that is very interesting, like some quotes that can offer wisdom and encouragement and hope, because Apostle Hastings talked about the pillars that we are, we are here to care. We are here to care. So one quote is saying, your mental health is just as important as your physical health. I want to do a follow up question. Why do people run quickly when they have got physical ailments, but forget the mental problems that they're having?
Firstly, it's a stigma that comes from home. When we are normally home, we are usually not told, we are not told to actually seek for help. We are not told that this is, if you go through something, this is what you must do. So hence it's why it is stigmatized. When, let's say I am depressed and I'm going through depression, normally a lot of people will say I'm acting up, or it's all an act, or so that's what happens normally. It's because a lot of people, they are not told on what to do when you actually have a problem. A lot of people are not told that these are the steps that you do, because they are scared that these are the reactions that I will get from people. Hence, it's why it's so stigmatized, and you're gonna be ostracized within the community. You're gonna be put aside. You're not gonna be accepted the way everyone else is accepted. Hence, it's why it is not important for people to actually speak about it.
Oh, thank you very much. Stigma, it's something that we must avoid and speak out. Thank you so much. Pastor Reverend Queen, I know you are doing something, going to the hospitals, volunteering. Um, what are the problems that you see in relation to mental health in your area in some way that has made you even to want to volunteer to study something related to caring, spiritual caregiver, and the like?
The most important thing that made me probe to volunteer to the hospitals and also to work within the community. As a pastor, if I can just make an example, like we are saying we are in a church, I came across a couple which was going through a lot of violence, and it was coming from the husband. At that time, I was still in Lotus Gardens in a church, and these people will come all the way from Hartebees attending the church just to look for help. And when I started doing counseling with them to find out what is going on within their marriage, and Mama, if I can just mention one thing about Sunway in Hartebees, Sunway Township in Hartebees, it's young couples who are starting lives. And as they start lives, they do not have a proper way of counseling on how to build a family. And as a result, with that enthusiasm to say, some of them are cohabiting, some of them are married. And as a result, that is where the challenges comes within. Some are unemployed, some are working. So now the frustration and the stress become high. So as a result, they start to beat one another or they start to cause violence among each other. And as a result, the children are also affected. So this couple is the one that actually opened my eyes to realize that there is a need to go to reach out to the community, because it's not only them who are suffering domestic violence. And that was the reason why I went out to them.
Oh, we applaud you. This is very important because we cannot be everything as pastors. That's why we need, even if we cannot help, we refer to professional people. It's very interesting. I need to say this that in Higher Grace we have got certified counselors like myself, Pastor Rosanna and Pastor Dineo. So we are continuing to study. Pastor Hastings, we have joined the mental health and advocacy training, which is amazing. It's amazing. You will talk something about it. We are continuing to learn. So, Hastings, What can you say about the things that we're talking about? The domestic violence. You spoke about why the church should do so. Do you have examples? Because I want you to concentrate on child abuse.
Absolutely. I spoke about the three pillars. Number one, um, when us as a church take responsibility, we bring in development. Development can never happen without education. So, the core of development, or at the center of development, is education. So, we have to equip our congregation against the evils of domestic violence, but also how to prevent it. But secondly, also how the survivors can be taken care of. And I also talked about transformation. You see, when we take responsibility as a church, we begin to transform our congregation, and then we begin to affect the community. We transform. There's transformation. And these two bring in glorification. It glorifies God because God delights in the prosperity of his children. Our well being is number one at the heart of God. I think of how we children or parents relate to their children. One of the things that have not been talked about is how parents discipline their kids. You see, when you have anger inside of you that a kid has done something wrong, you don't have to rush to discipline the kid, because most often when you are very angry inside of you, what happens is that you come with that anger and you use your hand, which is meant for love. You see, our hands are not meant for beating, they are meant for love, they are meant to embrace. So when you are full of anger, you discover that you use their hand, and that kind of a correction manifests as an abuse. When you are full of anger because of the sudden happening or something that has just happened, maybe a kid has angered you, what you need to do, you have to come down first. You send the kid away. You wait until you're calm, until you know that reaction of anger is gone away from you. Then you are able to talk to the kid properly, because you want that kid not to repeat the same thing the kid did. But when you are disciplining that kid with anger, what happens is that you are transferring that anger into the kid, and that's how that kid will begin to react to, if she's a girl or boy, they're going to react the same way. When they're being disciplined, whether it's at school, whether it's at home, they're going to react with anger. And that manifests as a form of child abuse.
Thank you very much. I just want to add some things that define child abuse. It has been researched, and people say just not listening to a child is another form of child abuse, which is very interesting because we keep on talking, cursing, words that are not necessary to be spoken to a child. Another type is touching the child where they don't want to be touched. And we still have a lot of educating to do that to our children, that they must not allow people to touch them inappropriately. Some things are just verbally abusing the child, breaking down the self-confidence of a child, which we do most often, telling people you are ugly, you look like a man. And there are people who have committed suicide because their parents have told them so, or leaving the child without supervision because we are always maybe moving around and not check where the child is and all that. And there are still parents, even uncles and cousins and whatever, who are also exposing a child to pornographic acts and even literature. You can imagine hitting, hurting the child, forcing the child to touch you. This is pathetic, and we need to be doing something as a church and even as communities out there, that children deserve to live like we deserve to live. I think we will need to have a day talking about child abuse. But I want us to because the children are abused by their parents, like you're saying, or abused by their grandparents or by their siblings, uncles, and whatever. So thank you so much for what you have spoken. So, Pastor Shalom, there is an incident in the Bible, where another family started to reject their brother. And they gave a reason that you need to move from here. You don't belong to us as a family anymore because you are going to be taking our inheritance. I believe this is the story of Jabez. Can you just elaborate something? Because that is definitely another kind of emotional abuse as far as domestic violence is concerned.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. You know, Jabez is an interesting story. And we are very aware of the prayer, the Jabez prayer, where, and I think God did this on purpose so that the Jabez prayer can be relevant to everyone. Why do I say this, Dr. Rachel? I mean, you look at the story or the prayer where I am literally just saying, "Oh Lord, see my pain, do not leave me alone, enlarge my territory." But we stop there. Do you want to know the interesting about Jabez? Jabez is each and every one of us. Your story is a Jabez story. How you were mistreated as a young person. Your story is a Jabez story. The people at home, everybody has a story very similar to what Jabez went through. And it's open-ended because you can insert yourself and say, "Lord, I was touched inappropriately. Please allow me to enlarge my borders. I want to go beyond my hurt. I want to live beyond my pain. I want to live beyond the circumstance that's holding me down. I want to live beyond my past." Everybody, we remember to pray the Jabez prayer, but we forget that the Lord answered the Jabez prayer. Many Christians are living as if the prayer is just enough. No, we must live to see the answer of the Lord. The Lord answered Jabez. Why are we living as if, you know, it's okay, we'll just survive until we get to heaven? We shouldn't be waiting for heaven. We are supposed to have peace here on earth. We are supposed to be living beyond the burden of our hurt and our past on this earth. So I'm saying to you once again, um, and if you will allow me, if I still have time, Dr. Rachel, this story, it must end with you having victory. It must end with you. If we are going to pray the Jabez prayer, it must end with the Lord answering us. I remember also, as you were speaking, Rev Queen, saying that the people that are in Sunway, some are cohabiting, some are married. If you look at King Saul, for example, many people think about Saul and say he went into a depression or mental health issues because he was rejected by God, maybe because he also disobeyed God. He's one of the best examples of disobedience. But I say we must remember to not start the story of King Saul at 1 Samuel chapter 15. We must start at 10. Because at 15, the Lord says, "Have I not anointed you king?" But in chapter 10, he says, "Have I not anointed you prince?" The issue of people taking themselves and making themselves to be something that they are not to another person leads to this type of violence. If you are a girlfriend, remain a girlfriend. Stay at home, he stays at his home. This whole cohabiting issue, stop it. And I'm not trying to be enigma, but I'm saying when you try to put yourself in a position that you are not, you will experience things that are not supposed to be experienced. Stop trying to be a wife when you are still a girlfriend. Stop cohabiting. And if there are people here in higher grades that are cohabiting, stop it. Yeah, let me stop there for now. But we must remember, I'm so sorry about this. We must remember that King Saul was first anointed. And I want people to read this. He was anointed prince in chapter 10. Has the Lord not anointed you a prince over these people? Only in chapter 15, when he's supposed to be now anointed king, and Samuel is coming to tell him, now the Lord has anointed you king. He goes and he disobeys. He goes and there are some people who are going to the grave of people, raising up the spirits of people, just like King Saul, trying to find out, how can I be healthy mentally? Please, ancestors, help me. How can I be healthy? None of that works. Only Jesus. The story of Jabez again, only the Lord. Everything in the Bible is pointing out to us that only when we are reconciled with God can we be healthy. Thank you.
Yeah, you are passionate about the Jabez and King Saul's story. It's very amazing. Thank you so much. Queen, the other day you told me you experienced mental problems in your first marriage. Are you comfortable to talk about it?
Oh, yes, I
Thank
am,
you.
Mama, because when you were talking, you really touched the most important part amongst children. And where I'm sitting, I was becoming emotional because of my youngest daughter. When Apostle Hostings was saying, most of the time, how we relate with the children when we are angry is what affects them to be violence. I remember in my first marriage, I got married at a very young age, the age of 26, and my husband was almost the same age. So 3 years later, that's when I realized that he has a bipolar. And, falling in love at a young age, you feel like you want to, even if you have discovered this, you still feel you want to continue, especially as a Christian, and you want to endure, and yet you are being emotionally abused, because what you experience is the rejection, is the resentment. Because you are young, you want to be affectionate, you want to be recognized, you want to be attended to, and those things, they fall off because of the mental illness that you are experiencing, and you do not even have an education on how to deal with it. And now the anger builds up because now you are rejected. You become bitter. And what happens is that you take it out on the children without even realizing it. When you reprimand the children, the first thing that you do, you chastise them physically. And that is what was happening to me at the time. So it's very important for us to know how to handle mental health illness in the family, because of I was traumatized, I was shocked, and when I go to the psychiatrist or the psychologist to find understanding, they would give me answers, but I could not really understand what I'm dealing with, and it became a chaos. Now here comes the point where my youngest daughter became also affected in anger, because now so there was a point where I would reprimand her and say, "You are lazy." And that became a trauma to her. And to an extent that I was even called at school to find out that my daughter is not really, she's always sad, she's always withdrawn. Why? And when I got to the school, they told me that it's because of, I call her lazy, and that was naming her the wrong way. So it's one of those examples that I learned as I was growing, that when you find yourself in a trap of abuse, whether it's emotional or mental health, you need to learn how to handle it, because even that person who is mentally ill needs a family. So if you don't know how to handle it, we also abuse them.
Wow, this is powerful. Thank you. Time is against us, and I wish we had the whole hour. Mums, maybe you want to just explain little things, a little thing about bipolar for the listeners to can just get grasp something about what it is.
Yes. Bipolar is a certain psychological illness whereby there are certain things that you experience while you are within bipolar, whereby it includes feelings of sadness, feelings of hallucination, feelings of you not understanding what is going on with you. And there is a lot of misconception on bipolar. I hear a lot of people, they will say that one only bipolar, and it's not right for us to say that, because bipolar is actually deep. It's a very, very deep a mental type of illness. So we must really be careful on what we say to people around us when it's based with bipolar, because there are certain people. I remember there was a lady that I came across. She said she had bipolar, and it was at a certain level where it was unmanageable. And at that time, she said she used to fall at work just because of bipolar. She used to zoom out at work just because of bipolar, and people didn't understand that. And she was forced to resign. Why? Because it was no longer manageable. So we must really be careful, and we must really think of people who have bipolar. We must really, really give them care and make sure that they are well catered for.
Thank you very much for the beautiful answer. Time is against us, but we need to be saying something about elderly abuse. In South Africa, we are seeing how our elderly are abused by family members. In the news, you will hear that the old lady has been raped by the grandson and friends. Maybe they are 10, or the elderly person is strangled by the son or the daughter because they want her grant monies. Another lady just died, old lady died because a mature man had to beat the mother to death because of the phone. You can imagine all these incidences. So, Pastor Hastings, how best can we deal with our elderly people? I'm just happy we are left with a few minutes, but here in church we've got a department of the elderlies. It's very good that at least we are initiating this so that we can go and visit all the other elderly people in the church and check them and all that. So, Pastor Hastings?
In order to take care of the elderly, um, uh, we have to have the three C's. Number one, we have to be compassionate. And number two, we have to be concerned. And number three, we have to be committed. Based on these three pillars, we are able to bring in development, transformation, and glorification. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. We still have a lot to do because just to discuss about child abuse, we have not even done anything. Elderly, we have not even, we just touched there and there. I think the next one we will continue next time with the issues of the elderly and child abuse. I'm still haunted by what I saw on news. A woman who could sell her own daughters as prostitutes, younger daughters, for the sake of money. We need to repent, South Africans, and take care of our children, regardless of our economic problems, regardless of our whatever we're going through financially. May God help us. Do you have the last word, Monet, quickly, because we are left with a minute?
I just want to say that we need Jesus. We do need all these programs. We do need the professionals. But I think that we need Jesus. We are living in a fallen world. Jesus is the only one who was prophesied to be coming to save us, to reconcile reconcile us with God the Father. So we can preach and have programs that are dedicated to the elderly, to the youth. But I think that we need to, as Christians, everybody in the church, everybody in this church, we need to go out and evangelize. We need to tell people that Jesus came to reconcile us with the Father, and that is when people's hearts will change, and we'll be able to, work on that, so that people can stop abusing people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Indeed, Jesus is the answer. Mamsi, do you have the last word? We are left with only a few seconds.
My last word is that the stigma of mental illness, it must fall. And abantu bazothini syndrome must also fall. When you are feeling sadness and challenges of mental health, you must consult, you must seek for professional help.
Thank you so much, Reverend Queen.
Thank you so much, Ma. I just want to say to the people at home, we are a church, we care. We are a community, we care. We are pastors, we care. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was beautiful. Next time we'll come together again, all of us, and continue with elderly abuse and child abuse. God bless you. All the viewers, we love you. If you want us, we are here. Come and visit us. We are available even to give you free advice. Amen.